2 brand new Glocks, 1 first 100. That's like 2 first 100s in one. Okay, so Glock has released both of these pistols. They are scheduled for release in just a few days. I have managed to get my hands on one of each, and I am going to do a quick first 100 at the range with both of these pistols. So I'm not going to try and tease anybody by doing one then doing the other. So there was no doubt in my mind when I saw these two guns released that I was going to want to grab both of them as quickly as I could get my hands on them and show them and share them with you. But I have to admit, neither one of these felt like to me, oh my God, that is the holy grail. That's the gun I've got to have. I'm interested because I know you're going to be interested, but I am a gun guy and I'm certainly a Glock guy. I've got a large number of Glocks, and so I am interested in what the 43X brings to the table versus the 43, and I'm certainly interested in what the 48 brings to the table. This is a pretty new configuration entirely. So here are my first thoughts. I've not fired either one of these guns. They are brand new right out of the box. First thought is the finish is very different looking in person. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to translate on video to you what the finish looks like to my eye, because, again, it does look different in person. It is an NPVD finish on the slides. It is a matted or muted silver. It's really like a sort of a matte silver. It's a much more flat finish in person than how it appears in some of the photographs. In other words, there's not as much sheen, it's not as shiny, and it's not as smooth looking. It's got more of a traditional Gen 5 type of texture and feel. It's just a different color. So again, it is very muted and very flat. There's not it's not by any means gonna, nobody's going to mistake it for stainless steel or anything like that. Both of these guns are equipped with the Glock standard base sights. I don't know off the top of my head right now, and forgive me if it should be readily available information, but I don't know off the top of my head right now if there are upgraded sights available as options as of yet. But you can bet I'm going to want to upgrade both of these as quickly as I can. I'm looking at you, Ameriglow. I do like aesthetics of these two guns. I like the two-tone finish. I've always kind of enjoyed a good two-tone look, and the black hardware, the black barrel and black sights and black backplate kind of give it that nice two-tone finish. So I think that works. I like it okay. And here you go. Here's the part that's really different. It's that longer grip. It's that 10-round capacity in a Glock 43 package. So there's the magazine. Now here's the bad news. This magazine is not compatible with a Glock 43. It is a much wider magazine than the Glock 43. So they didn't just take the same skinny magazine and stretch it and make it longer. They also made it a little wider. So I think they've kind of done what the Smith & Wesson M&P has been doing with their magazines for a while. So there is no magazine sharing between the Glock 43 and the Glock 43X or the Glock 48. Now the good news is you can swap the magazines in these two guns. They take exactly the same mags. They each come with 2 magazines. Luckily I got both guns, so I got 4 magazines total. That'll make range day a little bit more pleasant. Everything else, same. Okay, quick thoughts on the Glock 48. The Glock 48 looks and feels like the 43X, except it's longer. But what it really is like a single stack Glock 19. Sort of a slimmed down and single stack Glock 19 size handgun. We will do extensive comparisons in a future video. That's not a first 100 thing. We'll do a deep dive for sure with these two guns, either separately or together, or a combination thereof. But I do want to show you, because I know people have asked. I threw out some questions on Facebook and Instagram, and said, hey, what do you guys want to know about these guns that maybe you haven't been told yet? So here is my Glock 43. Had it for a long time, and it's sitting in my favorite holster, a multi-holster. Shout out to Tony and the gang at Multi-Holsters. Glock 43X. Absolutely perfect. And that's kind of what you would expect, right? Because the only difference is supposed to be right here. So the good news is, if you have a Glock 43 and you say, ooh, I got to have the Glock 43X because those extra few rounds are a big deal, and yes, they are a big deal. The good news is your holsters, even the custom holsters like this, are going to be compatible. Ah, what about the 48, you say? Let's take a look. The Glock 48. Anybody want to take a guess? Look at the configuration of the end of this holster. Anybody want to take a guess? It would fit perfectly if it was an open, squared open end holster, and the muzzle could come through, like a lot of, what you'll see on a 1911 holster, or those little holsters that Springfield gives you when you buy one of their guns. If it was that style holster, yes, it absolutely would be exactly a fit. But it's not, because the holster stops the muzzle right here, and it doesn't allow it to go in by just that much. Just that much. Now, this is an inside the waistband holster. I would not carry a gun inside the waistband that wasn't secured, with some sort of retention in the holster. However, I do also have a multi-holsters outside the waistband holster, and I would have no problem at the range putting this gun in that holster just to keep me from having to carry it around in my hand. So, holster compatibility question is absolutely yes, and probably not for most holsters here. You're going to have to address this extra length. Okay, that's enough of a first look at the bench. I will do a little bit of eye candy and close-ups for you, and the rest of it is going to be shooting these guns. Let's get to it. Okay, here's your quick comparison, Glock 43 to Glock 43X. There is nothing different up top other than obviously the finish, the color of the NPVD finish, but you can certainly see a difference here. That little bit of length is kind of more than a little bit, the way it looks, isn't it? What you really notice is that hump, that Glock hump, sort of is right at the very, very base of the grip here. And here, it's up quite a ways, and it has a chance to sort of straighten out, or the radius of that curve sort of lessens. More like what we're used to with a Glock grip. So what I noticed right away when I picked it up and felt it, it feels very nice. It feels very nice in the hand. Not that the 43 feels bad, but we have this issue, right, which bothers a lot of people. Probably bothers some people more than it does me, but I'm never going to argue with you that you don't have a better grip when you've got all three fingers firmly in place. So there is our comparison. So here's another look that will show you not only the height difference, but give you a little bit of an idea of the thickness difference. And you can see I've got a Talon grip on my 43, and don't worry, I will very soon have a Talon grip on the 43X. As soon as I can get me one. But it is a thicker frame. It's a thicker grip. So you're increasing the length, and you're also increasing the width a little bit on your grip. The slide is exactly the same. I know what you're asking. I know what you're asking. Can you swap them? I'm going to say yes, you probably could. Also on the 43X, they have beveled off the muzzle, so you don't just have that square muzzle. So they've given it that Gen 5 treatment out front, and of course you have the front serrations as well. But a little bit of side by side. Those of you asking the question, can you swap the slides? Yes, you can. I just did. And they swap perfectly fine. And they function test perfectly fine, and there's no reason they wouldn't shoot perfectly fine as well. Same slide, different body. So if you're all jazzed up about the finish of the 43X, but you want the small grip frame, you can do that. Or if you don't like this finish and you go, yuck, I don't like that, but I do want that 10-round grip, well, there you go. You can do that too. Mix and match, kids. Mix and match. Okay, a double first 100 Glock 43X. That's this guy. Glock 48, this one right here. Going to shoot them both today. I'm going to put as many rounds through them as I get a chance to on this very cold and miserable, blustery day with a storm approaching. I'm going to get at least 100 rounds, probably more, and I'll have maybe a couple other shooters help me put some rounds down range and test this out with some different hands on the triggers. Let's get started. I'm going to start out with the 43X. Magazines, of course, are 10 rounders. I'm going to put 2 magazines through the 43X, and then we'll put 2 through the 48 also. I like the way the gun feels, the 43X. You have a very full grip, but very thin. It definitely answers the slim line request. Okay. Threw one a little high, but I'm sure that was moi. Slide release works. I like that. You know how picky I am about that. I'm shooting Remington UMC, by the way. I'm going to have a mixture of different ammo. The full grip does help handle the recoil, which is handled well anyway by the springs. All right, so that's the 43X, which is the same exact slide and barrel as the 43, just with a longer grip frame. Glock 48 now, let's try that. So this is the identical frame to the 43X, just a longer slide, longer barrel. This is sort of the single stack Glock 19. And some of you out there, I know you're out there, have been dreaming about this one. Let's see how it shoots. It shoots nice, doesn't it? Wow, I like it. I like the 48. You know, at first thought I would have said the 48 was the more gimmicky of the two, but now I'm thinking if one of them's gimmicky, it might be the 43X, whereas the 48, this is a fairly unique configuration, certainly within Glock, and right now within the marketplace with the things that are coming out, the guns people are making today, this is kind of bucking the system, kind of going upstream from that. So, but it feels very nice, and it shoots very, very nice. Had an 11-year-old girl out here shooting this gun too, and her comment off camera was, it has no recoil at all. That's from an 11-year-old girl. But she's probably tougher than I am. Very, very nice. I like the way this gun shoots. It's got a great feel to it. So that was 40 rounds. We are 40% of the way through a first 100. Technically. Probably going to end up going much more than that. Okay, so I guess you guys are all duly impressed now that I could make a nice group on the target. So I'm not going to make you look at that anymore for this first 100, but I do want to talk to you about these guns while I shoot them a little bit. This is my very first experience with both of these handguns, and so I want to bring you along and just tell you what I think while I'm shooting, what I think of them. So let's put some more rounds through the 43X. And these do have the standard sights, as I had mentioned. The grip is thicker, wider than the 43. And obviously it's quite a bit longer. And that does make a difference. You do feel that. And it makes a difference in a positive aspect when it comes to shooting the gun. Now, for carry, that'll be a different discussion. But it definitely turns it into more of a shooter. And I like the way it shoots. I like the way it shoots a whole lot. The magazine base plate is Gen 5 Glock type. It's got that turned up, ski tip front on the base plate, a la the Gen 5s. See how it handles one-handed a little bit. Nice, very nice. Very good, very good. I like the way the gun feels when you shoot it. It's got a nice balance with the longer grip and that short slide still and barrel. Does give you a pretty nice balanced package. But I don't know, the 48, it goes the other way. So speaking of the 48, let's give it a try. So the 48, taking the exact same frame and putting a longer slide on it with a longer barrel and a longer sight radius, is definitely going to appeal to a certain group of shooters. I don't know how many people that might be, whether you're included in that group, but I can certainly see why somebody thought this is a gun worth making. And a company as big as Glock isn't going to put the money into producing a new model if their marketing people don't think they can sell it. So I'm sure they did their research, and I'm sure there's a market out there for it. Who those people are likely to be, I don't know. It's, the difference in barrel length between the 43X and the 48 is certainly measurable and significant, but I don't know if it's real world significant. So, you know, is your life safer because you're carrying this longer slide versus the shorter slide? I don't know. I really don't. And it's just an interesting question to me, why you have to have one versus the other as a shooter, as somebody who's going to maybe carry one of these guns. Now, if you say this is going to be the home defense gun, smaller-handed people maybe can handle this particular Glock better than they can the Glock 19. I get that. I get that. Same sights, same grip, same trigger, of course, but longer sight picture, or longer sight radius. There is less felt recoil. And I like the way this gun shoots a lot, too. I really like the way this one feels. I think between the two, I might like this one better. It's a bit of an oddball, configuration-wise. I'm not sure if it makes the best sense to me. But in terms of shooting the gun, and at the end of the day, I like to shoot guns. I like the way this one shoots. I like it a lot. Very nice. Very, very nice. Okay, and because I take requests, I have one more comparison to do for you. This is the new Glock 48. This is the Gen 5 Glock 19. Actually, the Gen 5 Glock 19 MOS. So this is the newest of the 19s. And the 48. And let's do a quick comparison. So, end to end, they are identical in length. You can see that the 48 is a little bit narrower, but they are the exact same length. And the guns are also the exact same height. Here's a good illustration of the difference in thickness between the 48, which is on the left, and the 19, Gen 5 on the right. But lengthwise, same. And everything else is pretty much the same. So this is basically your slimline Glock 19. So for those who have always wanted a single stack slimline Glock 19, there it is. It's called the 48. Uh-oh, look what else you can do. That's a Glock 48 slide on a Glock 43 frame. Not 43X, the 43, the shorty. So, all you people who said, man, they got it totally wrong with the Glock 45 and the 19X, here you go. Here's the configuration you want. Long slide, tiny short body. Maybe this is the holy grail you're after. In which case, if you've got a 43, just buy a 48, swap the slides. You are good to go. So while I would have rather had good weather and put twice as many rounds through these guns, I still managed to get over 250 rounds downrange between the two. That's not a bad day. Glock also seems to be perfecting their ejection pattern, something I've noticed with the Gen 5s, It's nice to see these improvements present in the 43X and the 48 also. I didn't have any issues at all with either of these guns and all the different ammo that I put through them. But two of my guest shooters had a problem with some Winchester white box. Our conclusion was that the ammo was bad and a couple of rounds just wouldn't chamber. But take a moment to watch this 11-year-old girl run these two pistols. She owns them like a boss and even clears her malfunction better than most grown men I know. Pay particular attention to her gun handling skills and her constant finger and muzzle awareness. She's been well taught by Dad, and she's proof that there is no excuse for poor fundamentals.
Am I good?
Yep. My opinion after the first 100 or so through each of these new Glocks is that they are winners. They may or may not be for you in terms of size, capacity, or their configuration or color, but they are very nice guns, and if nothing else, they are a ton of fun to shoot. Thanks for watching. These were real people shooting purchased guns. The Just an Opinion channel is gratefully viewer funded and takes no money from the industry. If you'd like to support the channel, please visit the Patreon page.